Well, we were delayed a few seconds. Sorry about that. Jeff is joining us from his car. I'm Lisa Stone and really excited to chat with Jeff Puhan again this morning about some work he's doing down in South Florida to get kids back on the court and competing. Hey, Jeff, how's it going?
It's going great.
Good. I hope you're not driving while Facebook living.
No, no, no. We just got some rain. So,
Uh-oh. Life in Florida.
we just got the morning. I know it's part of it. We play between raindrops.
There you go. So tell us what's going on down there. The news coming out of Florida related to coronavirus is not so great. However, we're continuing to see announcements of a lot of events being scheduled and taking place. And you had an incredible UTR event. Was it last weekend?
Last weekend, yes.
Okay, so tell us about that.
Well, it started as something really simple. We had practice one day. It was a Saturday after they canceled clay courts, and a couple of my students were, they're juniors, so they were really upset because they were like, why are we playing? They were looking forward to the coaches watching them. And I felt bad for them. So I went home and I was just thinking, gosh, what if I organize my own tournament? Just unofficial, just people I know, people I've been associated with for a while. So I randomly texted a few people to see if I would run an unofficial tournament, like the Caspers from California. Would they come and play? And, within 10 seconds, their dad responded, sign me up. When? We're coming. And so then the next day, or that Sunday, I just sat down, texted everybody that I knew, been in contact with, whether they trained with me, not trained, just know. And the next thing you know, I had a full 32 draw on boys and girls side.
Wow. And it was all done through the UTR platform, right? It was done through the UTR platform?
Yes. Well, then eventually it got to the UTR platform.
Okay.
First, it started unofficial, and I was like, okay, well, let me see if I can round some kids up. And the next thing you know, the guys like Ben Shelton, Logan Zapp, the list goes on, all want to play. So we contacted UTR, and I was like, well, maybe we can make it official so they have something to play for. And then within 2 weeks, we did it all through the UTR platform, and somehow got some sponsors, quick sponsors for a little bit of prize money and some gift cards from a local tennis store. And it was an unbelievable event. Unbelievable.
I mean, your player list was really impressive. Now, let me just say that college recruiting is still in a quiet period. So, I know the kids were disappointed not to be able to have the coaches there to watch them play, but that's just where we're at right now, right?
Yeah, and to be honest, we had it private. It was an invitational only, so it wasn't even a public where people could sign up. And once we made it public where everyone could see the draws, literally Friday night, I had about 30 college coaches text me saying, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And, just they were all tracking the results.
Right. So even though they couldn't be there in person, even though they couldn't be there in person, they knew about the event. They were watching what was going on. And I suspect that's what's going to be happening at a lot of junior events over the summer.
Yeah, that's going to happen. In our upcoming event in July, we are working really hard with UTR and with a few companies to live stream 3 courts for the coaches. That's what I've been talking to the coaches about. So if I can figure out that, then the coaches can become active in recruiting and speaking phone after the match.
Well, not in July, not till August. We're still in a quiet period with recruiting through the end of July, right? Oh, we lost Jeff. Uh-oh. Okay, hopefully he's going to join back in. Let me just shoot him a text real quick. We just lost you. Okay. So to clarify, the NCAA has college tennis in a quiet period for recruiting. So coaches, as we've been talking about over the last few of these, coaches cannot actively recruit players right now. Okay, Jeff, I just brought you back in. Sorry about that. We lost you for a sec, but I was just explaining that we are in a quiet period for tennis recruiting right now from NCAA at the D1 level. D2 has also followed suit.
Yeah. Well, they can talk on the phone, they can email, they just no face-to-face recruiting or no bringing them on campus.
Well, the kids can reach out and the coaches can respond. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. So the coaches cannot initiate contact. So the onus is on the players to reach out to the coaches and, make their interest known to the coaches, which we always say players need to do that. They need to take the initiative and reach out to the coaches they're interested in. But let's get back to your events and talk about, because we are in the midst of COVID-19 still. We thought we would be kind of over the hump by now, but we're not. And so for these events taking place, a lot of people are very concerned about safety precautions and what tournament directors are doing to keep the players safe, and what the rules are in regards to spectators, officials checking in, what kind of contact are people having, social distancing measures, and all of that. So can you share with us what you did last weekend and what you're doing moving forward, how it worked last weekend, first of all?
Yeah. So all matches were pre-assigned to their courts. So the players could go from their parking lot right to their court. They knew what court they were on.
Okay.
The balls were already on the court. There was hand sanitizers on every court. Prior to coming into the facility, they had to sign a waiver. Spectators were allowed. They did not need to wear face masks. Everyone was really good with that.
Wait, they did not need to wear masks?
We have a...
Sorry, spectators did not need to wear masks?
Outside.
Okay, but were people staying more than 6 feet apart, or how did that work?
Well, the park that we use is really big, so people can spread out and not be on top of each other. The courts are pretty far separated, so they're pretty far away from each other. Mm-hmm. And we have a golf cart, so basically I was going up and down with a golf cart, and when people were finished with their matches, they could just tell me what the score was, and so they didn't have to report to any table or anything.
Okay, cool.
And so everyone knew what time. Yeah, it was so smooth.
Good. Okay, and so the kids came, they went directly to their assigned court. Was that communicated via text message, or did you use an app, or how were you doing that?
That's on the UTR platform. So when they check the draw, the downside is that they had to use the website on the computer, not on their app. You couldn't see the court. So if they didn't know what court they were when they walked through, they would say, I don't know what court I was on. And I had, yeah, of course, which was about 90% of them. No.
I mean, we're dealing with kids. They don't travel with laptops. Everything's on their phones. So that's to be expected.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, okay.
Exactly. But it was smooth. It was such a joy to watch the kids say hi to each other. These guys haven't seen each other. These guys are used to seeing each other all the time at all the national events. It was just, yeah, I mean, it was a great event. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Did y'all have rules in place regarding handshaking or anything like that?
Yeah, no, nobody did anything like that. A lot of air high fives, a lot of air pumps.
I'm still pushing for namastes at the end of matches. It hasn't caught on yet, but I'm pushing for it.
Oh, right. Actually, a couple of the parents were doing that.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so much easier,
yeah,
right?
I saw that.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Okay, so you've got another event coming up because you've got one coming up this weekend, which I actually shared the link in the comments for anybody that wants to take a look at it. But your entries are closed for this weekend's. But then you've got another one coming up in July.
Yeah, the one coming up in July 11th is a big one, and that's for the boys again. And we're going to include doubles in that one.
Oh, okay.
So, and then the following week, we'll do women's open again.
Okay, very cool.
So I've already got, the people from California are coming back in. So it's going to be a loaded draw again.
So people are flying to come to your event.
Yes, they are.
I'm getting on a plane for the first time next week, and I got to tell you, I'm a little wigged out about it, but that's just me.
Well, I mean, from what I've heard from the people who are traveling, they're like, Jeff, it's probably the safest time to travel right now. The planes are so clean. There's nobody at the airport.
Yeah.
So there's nobody around, and we're in and out quick.
Right. And
so
what's happening?
No one seemed to have a problem with it.
What's happening in terms of hotels and things like that for the people coming in from out of town? Do y'all have like official hotels that you're working with, or how's that working?
We do have an official hotel, the Hilton, but that one was still closed. They'll be open for this event. But all the hotels here are open. I guess one of the families came in. They brought their whole family in from California. They rented a house. So they're also doing that.
Mm-hmm. And I asked you about officials, but we kind of skipped over that. Are you having officials for the events?
I am the official.
You're the one and only. See, I'm all for that. The tournaments, when I was running the Sol tournaments up in Baltimore and in Atlanta, we didn't have officials either. Our tournament director served as the official and then, was there to answer questions or handle disagreements, which there really weren't any. And I'm all for that. These kids know how to police themselves on the courts.
Exactly. I only had 2 issues, and the issues were with a couple of younger girls that we let into the draw just to give them an opportunity. Those were the only 2, and there were only 2 matches where I had those kind of scoring discrepancies or bad line calls or whatever. Everybody else, was more than happy to compete.
Right.
They were more happy to play a match.
Right. So we know that National Hard Courts is back in play for the 16s and 18s. And sadly, for the boys 18s, the event is not going to be held at Kalamazoo this year, which is really sad. I mean, thankfully, UST has stepped up and the event will be held at Lake Nona at the national campus. But there's a long tradition of boys 18s at Kalamazoo. I know you offer pre-national tournament training sessions for your players, but also for visiting players. Can you talk a little bit about what that's going to look like this year?
Yeah, no, I'm going to offer that again. I actually did a big one prior to Winter Nationals. And that was an amazing turnout again. We had the Logan Zapps who won Winter Nationals, and the Kurt Millers came in from California, finalists, the 16s, and I had all these guys coming in and training with each other, pushing each other. It was actually a great week. So I'm going to make a play and do that again. Some of these kids probably coming in from colder climates are not going to be used to the Florida heat. And August in Florida is hot.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna
That's an understatement. Hot and humid.
It's an understatement. Hot and humid. So I'm going to offer another training camp prior to hard courts for the 18s.
Great.
So
and
I'm looking forward to putting that together.
How do people get involved in that if they want to sign up?
Usually I've been doing it just word of mouth and through contacts that I have.
Okay.
And I end up having more than enough.
But
this time we're going to advertise on social media.
I did just for
Yeah.
those of you watching, I put Jeff's email in the comments here. So if you're interested in if your child is one of the ones that needs to travel to Florida for national hard courts for boys 18s, and you want him to train before the tournament, you can reach out to Jeff and make that work out. Hopefully Jeff will have room.
Yeah. Well, we have 19 hard courts, so
You should be
I'd like to
good.
fill them all.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right. Well, talk to me some more about the why behind these tournaments. Why do you feel compelled to do this? Obviously, USTA had put their junior tournaments on hold, but they just announced today in Florida that USTA junior events are resuming in Florida starting next week. Or the week after,
Mm-hmm.
July 1. USTA will be holding junior tournaments in Florida starting in July. So, how does that impact you? What do you see yourself doing moving forward? And why did you feel like it was time to step up and create these events?
Well, it was my way to give back to these players. I felt bad for every athlete out there, whether it was a tennis player, basketball player, but to see the look on some of their faces once they canceled clay courts, I just felt like I had to give something back to them and see if I was able to do it. Unfortunately, I had a lot of support and everybody wanted to come out and participate and compete, and they didn't realize how much they missed competing. And it was just it was a great thing for me to see. I was more happy about that than someone winning or losing a match.
Right. We did a Facebook Live yesterday and talked a little bit about what these junior players need to do to get themselves ready for competition after having taken such a long break due to COVID-19. And I'm just wondering, did you see any of the kids kind of showing effects of having not been on the competition court for so long? What did that look
Yes,
like?
yes. So many players were so nervous going into their match. And a
Yeah.
lot of them were like, wow, I haven't played that poorly for a long time, because they were just so tight and so nervous. They hadn't played a match. They didn't know what it felt like.
Mm-hmm.
And then once they got into it, it was no problem. But yeah, I was really surprised to see how nervous everybody was.
Yeah. And what about physically? I mean, did you see, because you know these kids, you've been working with them, did you see any decline in their fitness level and their movement, stroke production, even decision making on the court?
Everything. They haven't played 2 matches a day. It was really hot and really humid. They played we did a compass draw format, so everybody was guaranteed 4 matches. So for them, they haven't played 2 matches in one day in a long time. And to do that back to back, Saturday, Sunday, and then those who got to the finals, you saw it in both boys and girls final. You saw one player end up losing in a 10-point tiebreaker because they got worn out. They were just exhausted.
Hmm. And so, what do you tell them? I mean, because we don't want them discouraged, obviously. We want them to, just kind of take this in stride and understand it's your first time back out competing. It's a learning opportunity, right? It's not the end all be all. Oh, Jeff, you still with us? Jeff? Hello? I think
Yeah,
we were.
sorry,
Oh,
I lost you.
okay. So did you hear my question? So I was asking, like, how did you address their, maybe reduced level of play with them and help them understand that it's okay. This is the first tournament back. This is a learning opportunity. We nobody has any expectations here. We just want you back on the court playing.
Yeah, no, that's all we. I mean, some of the kids who lost early, they didn't really mind losing. They were just happy to get back out and competing again, and they're all looking forward to, the July tournament, getting themselves back and ready for that, and then looking forward to now finally hard courts. So I think everyone's pretty optimistic about it. And so yeah, no, they handled it. Everyone handled it really well.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with USTA rankings now that tournaments are starting to be, added to the schedule for from the USTA side. Right now, rankings are frozen. I had been told they were going to be frozen through the end of August. Have you heard anything about that? Because it really does take some of the pressure off.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that yet. I haven't had much time to look at that, but I assume that they would come back out once tournaments start. They are going to have to open the rankings back up. So I'd assume that would happen pretty quickly.
Well, what USTA has said is they're leaving it up to each section to make a decision about when to put junior tournaments back on the schedule. So it'd be kind of difficult to open the rankings if, only a few states have events and others don't, right? It wouldn't be fair. Not that
No.
life is fair, but we hope tennis is fair. But, I just think by bringing these kids back into competitive play without the added stress of playing for ranking points is just such a healthy way to reintroduce them to competition.
Yeah, well, I mean, UTR is just as bad, right? I mean, everyone's worried about their UTR. I didn't hear too many people talk about their UTR out here last weekend. I think they were just happy to get back.
Well, I mean, what
So
I'm hearing,
it is a healthy way.
right, from what I'm hearing from UTR too is, they're considering all of these things. They understand what's going on, and that kids have not been competing, that maybe they haven't been training at all, or if they have been training, it's been at a much lower level than they were prior to COVID-19. So I think there are a lot of considerations here. The college coaches certainly understand the current climate, and for those worried about their UTR for college recruiting, I would have to say, let's not worry about that so much right now. The coaches, they certainly get what's happening.
Yeah, right. I mean, there are bigger things happening in this world than your UTR or ranking. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Hugo just joined us, and Hugo, you posted in Spanish, and sorry, my couple years of high school Spanish are not helpful to me, but hopefully you're enjoying our conversation. And if you have a question and can post it in English so that I can relay it, that would be awesome. But Jeff, all of your tournaments are on myutr.com, right? People can search for them there. What keywords do they need to put in to search for your events?
Just my name, and it'll be under the events. If you type in my name, then all the events will pop up.
Okay, cool. And they can register directly through the myutr.com website. I do think if you haven't created or captured your profile on UTR, you need to do that before you can register for an event through UTR. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct. And yeah, and you have to be careful because sometimes these players have two profiles.
Yeah.
And if they have two profiles, right, then they have to merge them.
Right. And I'll also say sometimes there are multiple players with the same name, so it may appear there are two profiles. So make sure that you look at the city and make sure it's really you before you claim a profile on UTR. I did that. There are so many Lisa Stones in their database, and I claimed the wrong profile at first, and I had to email them. They got it all fixed, but it was a little embarrassing.
Yeah.
So what else do we need to know about what you're doing and what's coming up?
Well, we are actually talking to UTR. Got Alan Lehman, who's helping me with these tournaments. He's good on the logistical side and helping me. He was on a call last night with UTR, and I guess they want to partner with us and create a UTR junior national championship, and they would like us to host it.
Nice.
So we'll see there. Lots of factors there. We have to live stream, and all that is really tricky, trying to figure that out. But we have some really good things happening down here, and we're super excited
That's
for tennis.
fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. And, one of the things I think is so cool is I don't know if anybody's gone on the National Hard Courts entry page yet, but the entry fee for National Hard Courts is, steep as it usually is. What's been interesting to me is to see all of these UTR events pop up that may have a similarly high entry fee. However, you're being guaranteed multiple matches at these events. Like what you're saying, you're doing compass draw and everybody's playing 4 matches. At National Hard Courts, that's not the case. And it'll be interesting to even see if they hold a back draw actually for National Hard Courts this year. I haven't seen anything about that yet, but I suspect they will. But I haven't seen anything about it.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything either on what they're doing. But I think offering multiple matches is great for all these events, and I think the hard courts actually should look at that.
Yeah.
To see how can they offer more, especially kids that are going to invest in flying in.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
So they're not there for one day.
Exactly. Hugo's asking about recruiting and college tennis, the future of college tennis. Hugo, it's a fluid situation right now. So I know there are a lot of concerns in other countries about U.S. college tennis. We really don't know. All we know is we've seen several programs cut their college tennis programs. We've seen others put their college tennis programs on hold for the 2020-21 school year. And the coaches are in a quiet period. They cannot actively recruit right now. So I would encourage you, if you're connected with players outside the U.S. who are interested in playing U.S. college tennis, the onus is on the players right now to reach out to the coaches, to get on the coaches' radar, to send them information on their grades, their test scores, their playing experience, to put up some playing video, some match play video, and send links to the coaches so the coaches can at least be looking at them and get a feel for who they are. And he asked, is there a probability that college tennis will resume? I mean, we're all keeping our fingers crossed that college tennis is going to happen next year. We just don't know right now. We don't know anything. Everything is up in the air. College campuses, some have announced that they're reopening for in-person classes. Some are still waiting to make that announcement. Certainly whether college football happens in its regular format is going to have a great impact on college tennis, because revenues from college football fund all of the non-revenue sports, of which college tennis is one. So I wish I could give you more definite information, but unfortunately, we're just not there yet. We're just still in a wait and see kind of holding pattern. Is that what you're hearing too, Jeff, from the coaches you're talking to?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them are optimistic about their fall season. A lot of schools, what I'm hearing, are going back, like, say, 2 weeks, 10 days to 14 days early, and then they're cutting out fall break, and they're kind of going to go back home around Thanksgiving time and then start back up in January again.
Right.
But a lot of them are pretty optimistic that they will have a fall season, at least the guys that I'm talking to.
Well, we just heard
some of the smaller programs are the ones that are going to be a little bit more not sure.
Right. And we just heard that Oracle has pulled out of their Challenger Series. They will no longer be sponsoring that. And that's a real loss for college tennis, because a lot of those tournaments were being held on college campuses. And those were kind of the crux of the fall competition schedule for a lot of college players. So that's a real loss for college tennis.
Yeah.
You know, maybe somebody else will step up and fund those. You know, we'd been hearing rumors that Oracle was going to pull out, and certainly when Mark Hurd passed away earlier this year, like I've such lost track of time, maybe it was even in 2019, there was concern that that was going to happen because Mark, being a former player at Baylor, was a huge cheerleader behind college tennis and having Oracle be involved. So again, there's just so much up in the air right now. Everything is fluid. And I encourage those of you who are concerned about this, who have players, who have kids that are playing, to really keep your eye on the NCAA website, the ITA website, and all of their social media that goes along with that. And certainly I'll be reporting stuff as I learn about it. Colette Lewis at Zoo Tennis is reporting things as she hears. College Tennis Today, Bobby Knight is reporting stuff as he gets a hold of it. So there are a lot of people out there trying to keep their ears and eyes open to what's going on, but none of us knows anything right now. It's way up in the air. I mean, my goodness, USTA announced that they were holding national hard courts, and then the next day had to say, oops, you know, boys 18s aren't going to be in Kalamazoo. They're going to be down in Orlando at Lake Nona. So this is just kind of the nature of the beast right now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, that is a blow. That's the first I haven't been following that. That's the first I've heard that Oracle's pulling out college. That's huge. You know, I'm wondering what the NCAA will do with some of the larger All-American tournaments. Will they have those? Will they just compete regionally? I don't know.
Well, I think
But
it's an ITA.
That's a big loss for.
It's an ITA issue rather than an NCAA issue. So, because the fall season, those tournaments are run by the ITA. So they'll have to make that decision. Right. And honestly, I mean, it is a loss, and I suspect that the ITA will step in and put some other things on the calendar. But, you know, if a player's going to college and wanting to play college tennis, the college comes before the tennis in the name. It's a student athlete, not an athlete student. Right. So I'm not terribly upset by the idea that these kids will actually go to class in the fall as opposed to traveling all over the place for the tennis tournaments. I get that's a huge draw for some universities to bring kids in with the idea that the university is going to take them to these events and cover the expenses for those events. But you know, it's not such a bad idea for them to go to class too. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. So again, there's a lot up in the air. Jeff, thank you so much for what you're doing. I hope that those of you watching will check the comments for Jeff's contact information. You'll go to myutr.com, search Jeff Puhan for a list of the events that he's got coming up, and get your kids signed up. If your child is playing boys 18s, hard courts, or even if they're playing in Mobile, they can still come down and train with Jeff before hard courts, you know, for boys 16s or boys 18s. And again, reach out to Jeff and he'll get back to you and let you know what you need to do to get your kid in the group. So Jeff, good luck with everything. Continued success to you. And I look forward to continuing to check in and hear what you're up to.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Lisa. I appreciate it. And we'll keep rocking and rolling down here.
There you go. Stay safe, everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
We'll see you. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.